Alrighty. Now you have had a successful sales conversation and it's time to create the bid. Now, this is going to vary drastically for all of you because what you do is going to be different than everybody else, right? That's what you've spent the last 8 weeks or so focusing in on being a niche service. So I can't give you very specific strategies, but what I can do is I have, excuse me, some broad advice. One, custom bid for everyone. But that said, you're not going to create every single one from scratch. There are a couple of tools out there. One is called Prospero. I've not actually used it, but I've heard amazing things. There's one called BidSketch, and I think there are a few others. I used BidSketch. It was like $20 a month, but it was absolutely worth it. And you can create these templated bids that are absolutely amazing and game-changing for your clients. And what you want to do with any bid that you're doing for a client, you want to cover some key areas. One, you want to talk about goals and objectives for the actual project, right? And again, it's about repeating back to the client what they said to you in that initial consultation. So it's not like build a website, right? You want to be like, we're going to create a website that is clear and understandable and, increases engagements, etc. And you have like really specific bullet points about what you're going to do for that client and the objectives of the projects. Then you're going to talk about the actual recommendations and you're going to give them a few ideas that are very specific that if they decide not to work with you, they could potentially take it to somebody else. But that's okay. You want them to steal your best ideas. If they're not your client, they're not your client, right? And so it would be, my recommendation is to let's say you're a copywriter. My recommendation would be to create 6 templates that can be modified and then 25 blurbs for your widget. Whatever it is you do, but get very clear around what you recommend. Remember, you're the expert and they need you to recommend the right solution to their problem. If you're a designer or a visual person or what you're doing is a visual, I highly recommend doing a really quick sort of visual sample. So like what I would do with my clients for UI projects is I would put together just a brand board for them. And I used InVision for that. And I would basically just put in some colors and some inspirational work. Like I would go out and be like, based on your need for clean white design, here are 6 websites that do this really nicely that I would use as inspiration for this, right? It's just something that it goes that extra mile and gets them to see that you're already thinking about their needs, you're already meeting their needs. Then you should be talking about the fees. When you do the fees, I highly recommend that you create options for levels of service. So whenever possible, make it in your bid, give them options to negotiate on scope rather than on your price. So a lot of freelancers will go in and they'll do it all based on hourly, which means you're for them to get a discount, it's discounting your skills, and what you want to actually do is discount the scope. So if they need to negotiate, so as an example, instead of saying, it's $8,000 to do this project, period, you want to say, my suggested solution would be $8,000, and it includes these 15 items. Option number 2 is we can do this for $5,000, and it includes these 5 things. And you want to talk about features or scope or things that are included in the project, and give that to them up front so that if they balk at prices, they can kind of go, oh, yeah, we really do need that, or no, we have somebody in-house that can do that. Like an example from a design perspective is when I would do a website, I would say it's $8,000. I'm going to give you the photography, I'm going to take care of the copywriting, and I'm going to clean that up. I'll give you a logo or a brand design. I'm going to pick the colors. It's going to have 65 pages. Like, it would get really, really detailed. And then they could look at it and go, well, we have a library of stock photos that we can use, so we'll just provide that. So we'll take that out of there, and that'll save a couple $100 in stock photo selection. We have somebody that can do copywriting in-house, so we'll give you the basic and we'll cut that in half and just have you skim it to make sure it fits for web, that sort of stuff, right? So start thinking about ways that you can break your work up into smaller modules so that you can create options. And you can also do upsells in the same type of ways, right? So you can say, the project is for social media management, and that includes, liking 100 posts a day and posting twice a week or whatever it is. But you can optionally also add on this. So for an extra $150 a month, I'll create you a custom quote card every week. Get creative and give them options. The more options, the better. I mean, you don't want to overload them. Let's be real. But you want to make sure that it meets their goals and gives them some flexibility to work with you if you're over their budget. Next section of your bid, for a lot of people, it should be timeline or scope of work, sometimes it's called. You just want to kind of lay out, okay, assuming that you accept this bid as is and you hire me to do this job, I could start as soon as X, and then the next step of that would be on X date. So, from when I was doing design, it would be like start date, I propose a start date of April 1st, and by April 15th, I'll have a draft to you with the sitemap. And then you'll have a week to review that, and we'll go back and forth. And by May 5th, we will be in development, and May 15th, we'll be launching, right? So give them an idea of what to expect in the project from soup to nuts, and have an estimated completion date for the delivery if you have a deliverable, which most of you will as creative freelancers. Then talk about their next steps. So tell them what to do after reading the bid, which is usually accept the proposal, or discuss changes, finalize the contract, etc., and submit payment. So I do recommend taking a retainer. It's up to you what you want to ask for in front. I always ask for 50% up front. It was 50% retainer and 50% upon completion. They're then invested in working with you. You're paid. All of that stuff. It's a great way to do it. And then there should be some terms and conditions. Oftentimes, what I would do with that would just be, if there's a problem, this is how we're going to solve it. If I send you a bill, it's going to be due 7 days from, like anything like that you want to make sure is covered. And then your last kind of killer piece is why they should hire you. Why are you perfect for this project? Why are you perfect to help them get to where they want to be with their company? Right. And, because I worked specifically with startups, I would talk about how versatile I was and that I could, do a lot of different things in the project, and that basically I acted as an agency for them so that they could hand things off and not have to worry about it, that I could communicate with their team, that sort of thing. So think about that. And you've got all of this, right? In the last 8 weeks, you've come up with all of these reasons why you're amazing. You're just going to start putting them into little pieces that you can reuse in your bids so you can crush it. And that is it. So there's not really a lot of homework here other than if you would like, you can create a sample bid or create an account with BidSketch if you're at that point where you're really close to having client conversations. You can also start practicing your client calls. You could even make up a fake client if you really want to practice this and get in advance. But a lot of this is it's stuff that you learn on the job and you learn as you go. So get out there and start having conversations and then do the work. And you're going to be amazing at it. I know you will, because you're good at what you do. Remember that above all things. What you do is valuable. You're really good at it. And, go crush it. We'll see you soon.